I never thought my life would change in a single afternoon. I was just an ordinary boy, living my ordinary life, thinking I knew who I was. School, friends, family, the usual routine. I wasn't exactly popular, but I wasn't invisible either. I had my small circle of friends, and life felt predictable. That's why what happened that day hit me so hard, because it pulled me completely out of my comfort zone and into something I never imagined possible. It all started when I heard screaming. I was walking home from school, my backpack heavy on my shoulder, my headphones plugged in, just trying to ignore the world. But the sound was too sharp, too desperate to ignore. I turned the corner and saw them, a group of older boys surrounding a girl. She was small, trembling, tears streaking down her cheeks, and she was clutching her books like they were her only shield. My stomach dropped. My mind screamed to run, to get help, to call someone, but something inside me froze. I don't know why, but I found myself stepping forward. My voice sounded shaky, weak, even to me. "Hey! Leave her alone!" I shouted. They turned toward me, smirks twisting their faces, the kind of cruel amusement that makes your blood run cold. I could feel my knees shaking. I was smaller than them, no match at all, but somehow, some instinct I didn't understand, made me stay. One of the boys laughed. "Or what, little man?" His voice was mocking, dripping with danger. My heart was hammering. I thought I'd have to turn and run, maybe risk my own safety, but the girl grabbed my hand. Her grip was desperate, almost pleading, and in that instant, I realized I couldn't just walk away. I had to do something. Anything. The confrontation escalated quickly. I could feel panic rising, my voice cracking, but I kept shouting, trying to be louder than my fear. And then, a sudden idea struck me. I grabbed her backpack and swung it at the tallest boy. It hit him square on the chest. He stumbled back, giving us just enough space to escape. We ran. The adrenaline was so intense it almost felt unreal. I could hear them yelling behind us, but I didn't look back. I just ran, my lungs burning, my heart pounding like it would explode. We didn't stop until we reached a small alley that led into the park. She collapsed onto the grass, gasping, and I sank down beside her, my hands shaking so badly I could barely catch my breath. "Are you okay?" I asked, though I barely believed it myself. She nodded, finally managing a shaky smile. Her eyes met mine, wide and grateful, and something in that moment shifted inside me. I had saved her, but I also felt exposed. Vulnerable. Somehow, in risking myself for her, I had opened a door I wasn't ready for. She hesitated, then whispered, almost like it was a secret, "Thank you. I don't know what I would have done without you." I smiled awkwardly, trying to hide the trembling of my hands. I wanted to tell her it was nothing, that anyone would have done the same, but the truth was, I had no idea how I had found that courage. That's when she said it. "But, if you really want to keep helping me, there's something you need to know. Something you have to promise." I frowned. "Promise?" I echoed. "Yeah, you can't tell anyone. Ever. And you have to do exactly what I say. It's for your own safety, too." My heart skipped a beat. Something about the way she said it made my stomach twist. I nodded slowly, too curious, too worried, too drawn in to stop. She pulled something from her bag, a small, delicate box. I couldn't see inside it, but I could feel her hands shaking as she offered it to me. "You have to wear it," she said. My mind froze. "Wear it? What is it?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. "Just trust me," she said, her eyes pleading. "It will protect both of us. But you can't take it off until I say." I hesitated. Every instinct screamed that this was wrong, that I should say no and run. But I couldn't. I wanted to protect her. I wanted to be the person who could stand between her and the world. So, trembling, I opened the box. Inside was a dress. A soft, flowing dress, delicate and almost unreal in its beauty. My mouth went dry. I wanted to refuse. I wanted to laugh and tell her she was crazy. But her eyes held a depth of fear and trust that crushed every ounce of defiance inside me. "Put it on," she whispered. My hands shook as I took the dress. I felt ridiculous, humiliated, but I also felt alive, like some invisible current was pulling me toward something I couldn't yet understand. I nodded, unable to speak. She guided me to a small, hidden space in the alley where I could change. My fingers fumbled as I slipped out of my clothes, my heart pounding so loudly I was sure she could hear it. And then, I stepped into the dress. The fabric was soft, impossibly soft, and as I pulled it over my head, something inside me shifted. It wasn't just the dress, it was the way it made me feel. Vulnerable, yes, but also open. Alive. I had never felt anything like it before. She helped me adjust it, smoothing it down, and when I looked at myself in a cracked old mirror she'd pulled from her bag, I didn't recognize the reflection. The boy staring back at me was gone. In his place was someone new, someone fragile and beautiful and utterly exposed. I wanted to laugh. I wanted to cry. I wanted to run. But I didn't. Because when I looked up, her eyes were shining. "Thank you," she said again. "You'll understand soon. I promise. You're going to help me, and maybe, in the process, you'll find out who you really are." I didn't know what she meant. I didn't know what I was agreeing to. All I knew was that in saving her, I had crossed a line. And now, there was no going back. I didn't sleep that night. I kept staring at myself in the mirror, tracing the lines of my face, the unfamiliar curve of my shoulders, the way the dress clung softly to me. I felt wrong, yet strangely right. My mind was spinning. What had I just done? Why had I let her make me wear that dress? And most importantly, who was I now? I tried to push the thoughts away, telling myself it was just a costume, just a disguise, a way to help her. But deep down, I knew it was more. The next day at school, everything felt different. I avoided my usual routes, tried to act normal, but I couldn't. Every glance in the hallways felt like it was measuring me, judging me, even though nobody knew. Nobody could know. She had made me promise. And yet, the weight of that promise pressed down on me like a living thing. I could feel it in my chest, making it hard to breathe, making every interaction a careful calculation. Then came the message. A simple text on my phone, from a number I didn't recognize. "Meet me at the park after school. Don't be late. Don't tell anyone." My heart skipped a beat. It was her. I knew it immediately. I felt a mixture of relief and dread. Relief, because I had no idea what I was supposed to do next. Dread, because I already felt like I was stepping further into something I couldn't control. When I arrived, she was waiting by the fountain, her hair falling over her shoulders, the same nervous smile on her face. She held another box in her hands, smaller than the first. "I'm glad you came," she said softly. "I know this is strange, but you're stronger than you think. And now, I need your help again." I nodded, my hands trembling. "What is it?" I asked, my voice barely audible. She didn't answer at first. She just handed me the box. Inside was a wig. Long, silky, golden strands that shimmered in the sunlight. I froze. A wig. My mind reeled. I had barely wrapped my head around the dress, and now this. I wanted to say no, to tell her I couldn't, but I remembered the fear in her eyes that day, the desperation, the way she had trusted me completely. And something inside me stirred, a strange, unfamiliar courage. I took the wig, and she guided me through putting it on. My reflection changed again, more dramatically than the day before. I looked like her. Not me. Not the boy I had been. And for a moment, I panicked. What if someone saw me like this? What if they laughed, mocked, or worse? But then she touched my arm gently. "It's okay," she whispered. "You're safe with me. We have to be careful, but together we can handle it." Her words were like a lifeline. I realized, in that moment, that what I was feeling wasn't just fear or embarrassment, it was responsibility. I had chosen to help her, and that choice had come with a cost. The cost was me. My identity, my comfort, my sense of normalcy. And yet, I didn't regret it. Not fully. Over the next few days, our routine changed. We met in secret, always careful, always watching. She taught me how to walk differently, how to speak softly, how to move in a way that wouldn't draw attention. Every lesson felt humiliating, every correction a reminder that I was no longer the boy I had been. And yet, with every step, I felt a strange sense of freedom. A part of me, a part one hadn't known existed, was awakening. One afternoon, as we practiced in her small apartment, she paused and looked at me seriously. "You know, you're really good at this," she said. I laughed nervously. "Good at what?" "Looking ridiculous." She shook her head. "No, being yourself. Or, the version of yourself you didn't know you had. You're brave, more than you realize." Her words hit me harder than I expected. Brave. I had never thought of myself that way. I had always been cautious, careful, someone who stayed in the background. And yet here I was, standing in a dress, with a wig, helping her, saving her, and feeling like I was finally being seen, really seen, for the first time. But the deeper I went, the more complicated things became. I started to notice things changing, not just on the outside, but inside me. My thoughts, my feelings, my reactions, they were different. I laughed differently. I walked differently. I even began to think differently, more openly, more vulnerably. I didn't tell her. I didn't even tell myself at first. I was too afraid of what it meant. Was I losing myself? Or was I finding something I had never known existed? Then came the day when everything almost fell apart. We had to go out, to retrieve something important from a store near the busy street. I was terrified. I had never walked in public dressed like this. Every eye felt like it could pierce through me, every whisper could be about me. But she held my hand, giving me strength I didn't know I had. "We can do this," she said. And somehow, we did. We walked through the crowd, hearts pounding, cheeks flushed, and nobody suspected a thing. But the moment I stepped out of the store, I realized something. I wasn't scared anymore, not entirely. I was exhilarated. Alive. There was a power in being vulnerable, in risking everything to help someone else. And yet, there was a price. I could feel it in every ache of my body, in every tension in my mind. The price of saving her was becoming someone I didn't fully recognize. That night, I looked in the mirror again. The boy I had been was gone. The girl staring back at me was me, in a way I couldn't explain. And for the first time, I understood the truth of what she had said. Helping her was changing me, in ways I hadn't anticipated, in ways I wasn't sure I was ready for. I had saved her, but I was paying a price. A price that was mine alone to bear. The following days felt like living in a dream I couldn't wake up from. Every time I looked in the mirror, I saw her, and me, and a strange combination of both. I couldn't tell where one ended and the other began. My body was still mine, but everything else, my movements, my expressions, the way I carried myself, had shifted. Even my voice, when I whispered to myself at night, sounded softer, stranger, like it belonged to someone else. I tried to deny it, tried to tell myself it was just part of helping her, just part of the disguise, but the truth was undeniable. I was changing, and it was permanent in ways I couldn't reverse. She noticed it too. I could see it in the way she looked at me sometimes, an almost cautious awe, as if she were surprised by the strength and grace I didn't know I possessed. "You're amazing," she said one evening, adjusting my wig as we sat on her bed. "You've come so far, and you don't even realize it." I swallowed hard, my throat tight. I wanted to argue, to say it was all for her, that I wasn't amazing, but the words caught in my throat. Part of me wanted to admit the truth, that I was scared, confused, exhilarated, and starting to like this new version of myself more than I expected. But life outside our secret world was relentless. School, friends, family, they all carried on, oblivious to what I was going through. I had to keep up appearances, maintain the boy I had been, while slipping into this other identity whenever she needed me. It was exhausting. Sometimes I forgot who I was supposed to be, and the fear of being found out gnawed at me constantly. What if someone recognized me? What if someone I knew saw me like this? The shame, the humiliation, it was almost unbearable. Then came the challenge that changed everything. One afternoon, we were walking home when we spotted a group of boys from school, the same ones who had always bullied me, always laughed at me, always made me feel small. They weren't looking for her, but the second they saw me, their laughter froze. I could see it in their eyes. Recognition. Confusion. Surprise. My heart stopped. I wanted to run, to hide, but she grabbed my hand, squeezing it, steadying me. "Don't let them see fear," she whispered. I swallowed and stepped forward. I straightened my back, lifted my chin, and walked past them. Their voices followed, mocking at first, but then hesitant, uncertain. I realized something incredible. They weren't laughing at me. They weren't sure what to make of me. For the first time, I felt power in my vulnerability, strength in my exposure. I wasn't the boy they had thought I was. I was someone else entirely, and in that moment, I embraced it. We made it home, and I collapsed onto her couch, my body trembling from adrenaline and fear and something else, something I couldn't name. She sat beside me, wrapping me in a comforting hug. "You're changing," she said softly. "I can see it. And it's beautiful." I pulled back slightly, blinking, trying to focus. "I don't know who I am anymore," I admitted, voice cracking. "The boy, he's gone." She shook her head gently. "No. He's still here. But he's learning to be more open, more honest, more courageous. You're becoming the person you were always meant to be. And yes, it's scary. Yes, it's confusing. But it's also powerful." Her words lingered, resonating in a way I hadn't expected. Powerful. I had never felt powerful before, not really. Not like this. And yet, with that power came a cost. Every day, I felt the weight of the secret, the pressure of the disguise, the fear of exposure. I was living two lives at once, and I didn't know how much longer I could manage it. The turning point came unexpectedly. She had an accident, small, nothing life-threatening, but enough to make me realize how deeply intertwined our fates had become. She twisted her ankle while we were practicing a tricky maneuver to move through the city unnoticed. Panic surged through me. I lifted her, carried her to safety, and in that moment, I realized the truth. I would do anything for her. Anything. The cost didn't matter. My identity didn't matter. My comfort didn't matter. Saving her had become my purpose, and I would bear any burden, endure any humiliation, face any challenge, to protect her, and that's when it really hit me. The transformation wasn't just external. It wasn't just the dress, the wig, the way I moved or spoke. It was internal. I had discovered courage I didn't know I had, empathy I hadn't fully understood, and a depth of self-awareness I couldn't have imagined. The boy I had been, the one who hid, who shied away, who feared everything, was still inside, but he had evolved. He had grown into someone new, someone stronger, someone who could face the world in a completely different way. The nights became the hardest. Alone in my room, I would remove the dress, the wig, the carefully practiced mannerisms, and stare at myself. Who was I? Who did I want to be? The lines between the boy and the girl, the helper and the helped, blurred more and more each day. I didn't know if I was ready to admit how much I had started to like this new version of myself. I didn't know if I was ready to face the outside world like this, to be seen as I had never been seen before. But one thing was clear, there was no going back. The price of saving her had reshaped me entirely. And in that reshaping, I realized something that terrified me and exhilarated me at the same time. I was no longer just a boy saving someone else. I was becoming a girl, in ways that were deeper than skin, deeper than clothing, deeper than appearances. And I didn't know if I was scared, or finally alive. The days after her accident were strange. We stayed mostly inside, avoiding the outside world until she healed. At first, I thought the quiet would make it easier, but instead, it forced me to confront everything I had been avoiding. Every time I looked in the mirror, every time I practiced speaking softly, every time I walked even a few steps in the dress and wig, I felt the tension in my chest. Who was I? Who had I become? And could I ever go back to the life I had before all of this? She noticed my silence one evening. We were sitting together on the couch, her leg propped up on a pillow, the soft light of the lamp casting shadows across the room. She reached out, touching my hand gently. "You're thinking too much," she said. "You're scared. That's okay. You don't have to have all the answers yet." I shook my head, the tears I had been holding back finally spilling. "I don't even know who I am anymore," I whispered. The boy, he's gone. And I don't know, someone else. I like her, but I'm terrified of what that means. I feel like I've lost myself in saving you. She squeezed my hand, her eyes soft but serious. You haven't lost yourself. You've found yourself. You just didn't recognize her at first. The truth is, this new version of you, has always been there, waiting. And I saw it before you did. I trusted you because I knew who you really were, even if you didn't. Her words sank into me slowly, the weight and the warmth of them pressing into my chest. I realized she was right. I hadn't lost anything. I had discovered something. A part of me that had been hidden, untested, and uncertain had been awakened. And yes, it was terrifying, because it meant facing a world where no one else could understand. But it was also exhilarating, because it meant finally being honest with myself, finally embracing a truth I had been too scared to admit. Over the next few weeks, I began to accept it. The dress, the wig, the movements, the voice, they became extensions of me, not just disguises. I practiced walking, sitting, even laughing in this new identity until it felt natural. I began to smile more freely, to feel lighter in ways I hadn't before. She was always there, encouraging, guiding, and sometimes just watching with that gentle pride that made me feel seen in a way I never had. One afternoon, as we were walking through the quiet park, fully visible to anyone who might pass, I realized something incredible. I wasn't afraid anymore. People glanced at me, some curious, some indifferent, and it didn't matter. I felt whole, strong, brave. I turned to her, a shy smile on my lips. I'm ready, I said. She looked at me, eyes shining. Ready for what? To be me, I said, my voice steady now, soft but confident. All of me. Not just the boy, not just the girl, everything I've become. I don't care what anyone else thinks. I want to live honestly, to stop hiding. She laughed, softly, joyfully, and wrapped me in a hug. I knew you'd get there, she whispered. I always knew. You were brave enough to save me, and brave enough to save yourself along the way. In that moment, standing in the sunlight with her by my side, I understood the true cost of what I had done. Saving her had required me to surrender my old identity, to risk ridicule, shame, and fear. But the price had also been the greatest gift, the discovery of who I truly was, the courage to embrace it, and the understanding that strength comes in many forms. The boy who had walked past me in the mirror that first night was gone, and in his place stood someone new. Someone not defined by fear, not limited by expectations. Someone who could be tender and strong, brave and vulnerable, caring and confident all at once. Someone who had learned that protecting others sometimes means protecting yourself too, and that the heart can expand in ways you never imagined. I looked at her, and she smiled back, and for the first time in my life, I felt entirely complete. I had paid the price of saving her. But in doing so, I had gained something far more valuable, the freedom to be who I truly was. And in that truth, I finally found peace, joy, and a quiet, unshakable courage that would carry me through everything the world had yet to throw my way. From boy to girl, from fear to bravery, from hiding to living fully, I had been transformed. And though the path had been painful, uncertain, and terrifying, it had also been beautiful beyond words. I had saved her. And in the process, I had saved myself.